Hey everybody, Ben here from DMZ Films and Cinderblock Studios, and it's time for the updated review on my Surface Pro 3. I've been using it now for 10 months versus the last time I did a review, it was about a week. What do I think about this tool? Is it a good one for artists, and should you buy it? That and more coming up. So I'm going to give you guys a brief re-overview of why I bought the device, but one thing I won't be doing in this video is talking about hardware specs and design. I talked briefly about that in my first video, you can check that out over here, but I don't need to do that again, so if you want to see that stuff, go check that video out. So why did I buy this thing in the first place? I mean, it's a little pricey, even this one which was refurbished, so why would I even consider something like this? I've never really specifically wanted something like a Cintiq, so I didn't really buy it for drawing. Well, I bought it so I could use a credit card swiper and accept things at shows, which I can't do with my regular phone. That said, however, it has a lot of great other usage, and I'm going to talk a bit about sort of the day-to-day usage, the art usage of it, and the way I use it, which is I take it to shows. So let's start out with a general day-to-day usage. Now, I don't use this thing every day because I have a power desktop and a high-performance laptop, so I don't need this thing for my day-to-day computing. That said, however, if you're going to buy one of these for your day-to-day computing, they're really good for something like that. Simply something as simple as just browsing the internet, just checking email, things like that. Because it's so simple and lightweight and you can take it with you, it's perfect for that. Now, it may not be super obvious in this video, but I'm actually using the upgraded Pro 4 type cover and pen accessory. I highly recommend this if you decide to get the older Pro 3 instead of the Pro 4, although this model is 2 years old, the Pro 4 is now almost a year old, and they're probably going to be launching a Pro 5 sometime in early 2017. So think, okay, why would I get the old one? Well, as the newer ones come out, price is a little bit better. Now, something to note about the differences between the Pro 3 pen and the Pro 4 pen. The Pro 4 pen is a little bit longer, feels a little heavier in your hand, which is nice. The magnet's a little bit bigger, and the back little button is also an eraser. All of those things weren't the case with the old pen. This new one feels significantly nicer. While it does have better pressure sensitivity if used on a Pro 4, it does not revert back because the technology for pressure sensitivity is in the tablet and not in the pen itself. Now, I said I wouldn't talk about design too much, and I won't. One thing to note, though, is the placement of the pen. The magnet on the new pen sticks a little bit better to the side. Not great, but it is better than this one. Also, something that they don't seem to really talk about, but it is in the instruction manual, is the pen, the best place to put it is here, and nobody talks about that, and that's the perfect place to put it, to carry it when it's not used. Don't try and use the magnet on the side. It doesn't really work that well. So going back to day-to-day usage, if all you really use a laptop for, or maybe a tablet or a netbook for, would be something like browsing the internet, it is absolutely perfect for that, despite having a high price for just doing that. In the studio, I find it really awesome to get a quick picture, just, hey, I'm working on this project, and then send out a tweet. It's so much faster to do that than to pick up my camera and then play with the SD card and stick that in my laptop and then download it and move it over. That tends to be a little more of a hassle, and just being able to get a quick picture tweet out is really nice. One thing to note about the camera, though, is that it's really bad. I mean, it's not absolutely terrible. It will take a decent picture, but it has a certain limited range in terms of how close you can get. There's no autofocus and there's no zoom. There's no real way to set up a good shot of the camera, and honestly, taking a picture with a tablet is really kind of awkward. Now, it does have both front and rear-facing cameras, but again, they're very poor. I feel like this is where they kind of cheaped out on the device. Everything else about it is really top-notch and high quality, but if you want to, even something like scanning a QR code, it can't do that because it can't focus in on something that's that close. You're looking at least maybe arm's length away or more just for a crisp photo. Another thing that really kind of surprised me is that while it does expectedly kind of throttle on some heavier loaded tasks, one of those things is just playing back online videos. So just watching a video on YouTube, oddly enough, just really tanks the battery life, and that's something I just wasn't expecting. So what about the experience taking it to an art show? Well, aside from it being super thin and super light and being really great for travel, it also looks awesome next to my display. I use the PayPal Here app, and the integration with the card swiper is super fast and easy, and it just gets the job done without any hassle. Plus, in taking it to a show, I know I'm not going to be drawing with it, so it's just kind of sitting there being idle, and in doing so, the battery life gets its full potential at about 8 or 9 hours, which is perfect for a show. Okay, so I may not be drawing during a show, but I'm definitely going to be drawing on it either at home in the studio or just kind of relaxing on the couch. So what is that experience like? Well, there's the hardware of the device experience, and then there's it kind of depends on what software you're using. Over the course of the 10 months of having it, I've tried a lot of different drawing softwares, some old, some new, just to try to figure out what works for me and what works that's, I guess, a little bit more free. The one I discussed in my first review was Coral Painter Essentials. Now, when I first tried this program out, I really loved it, and I picked the software up for, I think it was about $20 or something like that. But in general, I kind of liked it. It was good. I don't like it as much now, which is a bummer considering I paid for it. My biggest issue is that it works a little bit in the way that traditional media does, and it's almost a wet-on-wet technique, but in a digital canvas, which is really nice at first, and then as you want to work in layers, it becomes really irritating because you're having to create more layers, but those layers are just new layers. The colors are still mixing around. You can't just get a solid flat color on top of a flat color. It just doesn't really work that way. The second piece of software I used to recommend, and I don't anymore. That piece of software is Sketchbook, Autodesk Sketchbook. I knew it for a long time as Sketchbook Express, version 6.2 to be exact, which was a free piece of software when I got my Wacom tablet. And I'm pretty sure Sketchbook Express is still bundled with a lot of the Wacom tablets, which is about the only way to get it. And it's the only one I recommend, which is unfortunate because you can't even find a download link for it anymore. Everything that Autodesk does is now the Windows 10 or Windows 8 sort of desktop-y version of Sketchbook. And they've sort of gone the Photoshop route of $20 a month subscription. And that was okay for a while, given that that was really just the Pro version. You don't need to get a Pro version until the most recent update, where they completely disabled layers for free users. And I'm like, I actually sent them a tweet. I was like, look, I'm really sorry, Autodesk, but I can no longer recommend your software because you keep shitting on anybody who is a free user. And of course, as my time was progressing on, trying a few different softwares, still couldn't find one that I liked. The only one I've found that is as comparable as I can get to Photoshop is a software which is free, which is another plus, called Medibang Paint Pro. This kind of bridges the gap between that wet-on-wet painting that Coral Painter Essentials has and just traditional Photoshop sketching. It's really as good as you're going to get, I feel, for a free program. And it works really well on the surface, not only because it integrates with the pen real well, but also because it's a really lightweight piece of software and it doesn't cause the device to throttle. So for that reason, I'm going to highly recommend Medibang Paint Pro for use on the Surface. Now, all of that said, I did have to break down and install Photoshop Creative Cloud on this, because despite all these other programs, some of which are terrible, some of which are basically okay, just to kind of, in a pinch, getting the job done, I found that most digital brushes are garbage. Everything I'm used to is Photoshop. I'm so used to how Photoshop paints and how the brushes look that I found that all the other brushes just are terrible. So I installed CC. I'm not paying for it right now, but I figured, if I want to sit and work on stuff on the tablet, I can just get a month's subscription and then let it run out and then not have to worry about it that way. Also, I did try out Photoshop Elements on the Surface, and it does work. Although some of the things like rotating and like pinch zoom, it's a little bit wonky. It doesn't integrate real well. So for that reason, just on the surface, I cannot recommend you use Elements. There's also the upgraded Pro 4 pen, which is definitely worth mentioning here, specifically because of the nib. Now the nib on the original Pro 3 pen works, but it's like plastic on glass and it feels like you're drawing on butter. It's really slick, just doesn't feel good at all. This one, the additional weight of the pen, as well as it being a little bit longer in the tip, having a little bit of, not rubbery, but it has a bit of resistance on the screen itself, and it is just an absolute dream. In general though, it's a decent drawing device, but because it's not designed to be a drawing device, it's designed to just be a sort of general tablet, laptop replacement for just about anyone. For that reason, it's not something to buy just for drawing, so I can't recommend it as an art tool, at least as a specific art tool. So between the original review of this and this 10-month out review, has my opinion changed at all? Well, sort of. I think if you're not a power user, this device definitely could replace a laptop. If all you do is just, browse the internet, maybe you're on DeviantArt a lot and you have your community forums and things like that on different websites and you're very online business oriented, focused mindset, I feel like it's really good for that. I think for the traveling artist, again, it could be a really good device, even a Cintiq alternative. Now, a couple things to note about drawing outside. One, it doesn't really work in sunlight because you can't get the screen brightness high enough to actually see what you're working on. But I think if you're working in the shade or under an umbrella, whatever you happen to be, and you're on the go, maybe hitting coffee shop, something like that, I think it could be a good device for the traveling artist. But in the long run, it's not a replacement for a power laptop or a power desktop. If you're going to shows a lot and you need something that's going to be able to accept credit cards, and a lot of times I use it to just display a slideshow of my work, it is perfect for that, and I just love using it for that. Also, if you're a home studio person like I am, whether you have a nice, decent-sized studio like this, or even something smaller, I think it can be a really great tool just for general studio use. For a long time, I was using an old 12-inch monitor just on my table to display my color concepts while I was working on a painting. Using the Surface, this has pretty much completely replaced that. I'm able to work with my color concept really close and just kind of look at it and go, okay, this, and I can zoom in and then go right to working on the painting. For that reason, it's really versatile, and I just, again, love it for studio use. Now, something to say on a little more of a personal note. While I definitely consider myself a graphics tablet user, I still don't think I can call myself a regular computer tablet user. The reason for this, whether it be the Surface, an iPad, Samsung Galaxy Tab, whatever it happens to be, I don't think that it's the kind of device that I would want to have all the time. I wouldn't want to do my main computing on it. The biggest reason here, I'm a power user. I need programs and not apps. I need software that can get stuff done, and with something like this, a full desktop-style operating system, not mobile operating system that only sort of gets me halfway there. But I can certainly understand the appeal, and I kind of really understand a general younger demographic of people that use these devices on a regular basis. I get it now more than I did previously. Another sort of personal note that I want to talk about just briefly, a lot of people say that they just want something that they can draw on the screen with. That doesn't actually bother me as much as I thought it would. For example, I've been using this style of graphics tablet for a long time now. I'd say about 8 years or so. I still prefer using this than just to have this for having something with a screen. While the screen's nice for certain things, it doesn't bother me that the disconnect between my Intuos Pro and I'm looking at the screen versus looking at my hand. For some people, that could be a deal breaker, just saying like, oh, I can't use a regular tablet, this kind, just because I can't see what I'm doing. I feel like that could be a beginner versus an advanced or even intermediate level artist qualm or dilemma, But honestly, I'm not completely tied and completely dependent on having something with a screen that I can draw on. So for that, you know, I'm perfectly happy and now still even prefer to draw on my Intuos Pro. So at the end of the day, am I happy to have this? Yeah, I'm really happy to have it. I love owning it. I love using it. I love just pulling it out and sketching with it. It is so much fun, and it's really a great business device. Should you buy one? Well, it depends on who you are and what your needs are. If the Surface or really any other tablet fits your needs, go ahead and get one. But don't just get one either because you can afford it or because you want it. In general, I don't think it's something that everyone's going to want. If you need something that's a primary device, something you're going to use every day for long hours or even short hours, whether you're browsing the internet, editing video, uploading video, drawing, whatever, get a laptop or a desktop and an Intuos tablet from Wacom. That's not only going to be a cheaper option for you, but in the long run, a significantly better option because you're getting a lot more power out of those two devices than you would with a Surface. Now, down the road, 5-10 years, that statement might change as technology continues to evolve. But for the time being, you're better off getting a laptop and something like an Intuos or an Intuos Pro than trying to jump the gun into a Surface. So again, the point of this review, not to say that I hate this device or that I am totally in love with it, because I think it's sort of a middle ground. The point of this is just to say, this is this thing, and I have it, and I definitely recommend it to some people, but not everybody. I feel like it's a good video to make just because this thing's out there and you're not sure if you want one. And coming from someone like me, a traditional artist in particular, I feel like it's going to be really important to you to see how it's used and how it can be used, but not necessarily if you should have it. So if you found this video useful in any way, or just like to hear me rant about weird tech stuff and being an artist and digital, traditional, whatever, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe for more art videos, and this has been from DMC Films and Cineblock Studios. See you guys next time.